Something alarming is unfolding in America, something that very few are willing to openly acknowledge, but it deserves your immediate attention. What I'm about to share with you regarding Charlie Kirk, the events themselves, my own commentary, and the subtle truths that most media outlets are conveniently ignoring. But they could completely change the way you think about courage, free speech, and the importance of standing up for what you believe in. Even when it's difficult or dangerous, I need you to stay with me until the very end, because this could be one of the most important messages you will hear today. It may not feel comfortable, and it may challenge some of the assumptions you've held for years, but I promise it will give you clarity that is rarely offered in these chaotic times. This is not about one state or one town. This is not about a single community or a political leaning. This is about truth, about awareness, and about preparing ourselves for the reality of what is happening in our society. This message matters regardless of your location, your background, or your political perspective. And if clarity is something you value, if understanding the real dynamics behind current events is important to you, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Messages like this honest, rare, and difficult are not often shared. But what you're about to hear may be exactly what you or someone you care deeply about needs to understand right now. Let's set the scene carefully. On the 10th of September, 2025, Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, was speaking at Utah Valley University during his American comeback tour. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Students, supporters, and curious attendees had gathered, some holding notebooks, some smartphones ready to record, all focused on the stage where Charlie Kirk was about to speak. It was a moment of live debate, a moment when ideas clash and people listen intently, hoping to see someone articulate truth as they see it. But in that moment, everything changed. Reports indicate that Charlie Kirk was struck in the neck, rushed to the hospital in critical condition, and tragically later died. Immediately, reactions poured in from all corners. Presidents, business leaders, public figures, political commentators, journalists, and everyday citizens expressed shock, grief, and condemnation. Some called it an act of political violence, an attack on freedom of speech, a tragedy for democracy itself. Others offered prayers for his family, his wife, his children, and for our nation. And yet, among the flood of words, there was a quiet undercurrent that few spoke about. Why moments like this are happening more often, and what it says about the state of courage and truth in our society. If you are watching this right now and you believe that truth matters more than spin, type truth in the comments. This is not about partisan politics. This is about reality. Many of you, like me, have watched the news and felt manipulated, wondering how much of what is being reported is accurate, how much is shaped by fear, and how much is framed to influence emotion rather than understanding. That doubt is heavy, but it is also righteous. It is a necessary weight because it allows us to question, to probe, and to see clearly in times when chaos and misinformation are everywhere. In moments like this, I encourage people to use a tool I call the 31-Day Daily High Impact Planner. This is a simple concept. One sheet per day, where you write down what truth you want to seek, who you will pray for, one courageous action you will take, a single act of kindness, and one thing you want to learn. Doing this each morning anchors your mind. It builds clarity, discipline, and inner strength. Because when chaos descends and the world seems overwhelming, purpose keeps you steady. Without purpose, the fear can consume you. With purpose, clarity can become your shield, your guide, and your compass. Let me pause and ask you another question. How can we help seniors in our community right now? I've been working on an idea for an app that focuses either on health and medication support or financial safety and scam prevention. Which do you think is more important at this moment? Comment health or finance below. Your input will help us understand the most urgent needs of our community and where we can provide immediate support. Now, let's return to the core of this story. Point 1 is the background setting, the context, and the immediate events surrounding Charlie Kirk. But it's crucial to understand that what happened here is not just an isolated tragedy. It is a signal, a warning. The implications stretch far beyond one event, one city, or one person. And this is why I ask you to stay with me for all the points I will cover, because each one builds upon the last. By the time we reach the 6th point, the most critical will see the patterns that almost no one else is willing to discuss. These patterns are about courage, truth, responsibility, and the structures in our society that either protect or threaten them. Think about what happened. Charlie Kirk was speaking on a stage in front of hundreds of people, fully aware that what he said could provoke debate, inspire followers, and ignite conversation. And yet, despite the anticipation, despite the security measures in place, the attack occurred. The timing was precise, the location vulnerable, the optics were public. It wasn't just violence, it was a message. And the immediate social media reaction was polarized. Some praised his courage, others questioned the responsibility of speaking publicly, others blamed circumstances, and yet almost nobody asked the deeper questions. Why are truth-tellers increasingly at risk? Why does courage invite attacks? What does this say about the society we are building? I want you to take a moment and reflect on this. Close your eyes for a second if you need to, and think. What is one thing you would never want to lose the freedom to say? It could be your faith, your beliefs about family, or even a truth you hold deeply in your heart. Write it in the comments now. Declaring it anchors your commitment. Once it is declared, no external power can take it away. That is the foundation of courage. Charlie Kirk's tragedy was not just an act of violence against one individual. It was a warning sign. It revealed the fragility of truth in a society where silence is increasingly enforced by social pressure, fear, and systemic mechanisms. When we face moments like this, we realize that freedom is not guaranteed. It must be defended, nurtured, and exercised daily. When Charlie Kirk was struck down, I made a public statement, one that many saw online immediately. I said, "This event shows exactly what we are facing. Free speech is under attack. If we do not recognize it now, we may lose it forever." Some people praised this observation, others misinterpreted it, and a few tried to silence it entirely. But the truth behind my words was larger than politics. It was about a societal trend, a reality we can no longer afford to ignore. When courage is punished and speaking truth becomes dangerous, silence spreads like wildfire. Think about what this means for every aspect of freedom. Without the ability to speak openly, your prayers become silent. Without it, your children's education, your family's values, even basic moral choices are dictated by others. Without it, truth itself becomes conditional, optional, or even illegal. Consider your grandchildren growing up in a world where someone else decides what they can say, what they can believe, and how they are allowed to think. That is not freedom. That is a cage disguised as society. Now, pause and think. What is one thing you would never want to lose the freedom to express? Write it down in the comments below. Whether it's your faith, your beliefs about family, or a principle you hold dear. Make it public. Once you declare it, you anchor yourself, and no force on earth can fully take it away. The events surrounding Charlie Kirk are not isolated. They represent a warning. Truth, when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable for certain people or systems, becomes dangerous. Those who speak it become targets. This is why my statement wasn't casual, random, or rhetorical. It was a wake-up call, and it is why I continue to urge you, whether you are watching from a small town in America or from halfway across the globe, to pay attention, because the pressures on truth-tellers are rising, and the time for passivity is over. Let's talk about courage. Real courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of fear. When someone like Charlie Kirk speaks boldly, the immediate reactions are often admiration and but almost always, shortly after, fear sets in. Those who once cheered now hesitate. They step back, afraid of the consequences. And this is where the question becomes personal. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? If the people around you retreat, will you still step forward? These questions are not theoretical. They are immediate, real, and urgent, and your answer matters more than you realize. Many of you watching are in the later chapters of life. You've raised families, built careers, served communities, and witnessed decades of social and political change. You've seen promises made and broken, institutions rise and collapse, and you know what courage looks like. You know what fear feels like, and deep inside, You recognize when history is shifting before your eyes. This is one of those moments. If you feel a knot in your stomach, a weight in your chest, listen to it. Your instincts are alerting you to the significance of what is unfolding. We are only scratching the surface. The deeper question is, why is no one asking the bigger questions? Why do media outlets distract us with shallow headlines, while the essential truth remains buried? There's a deliberate effort at play, and if you think this is random, you are mistaken. That is why I ask you to stay with me through all points. By the sixth point, I will reveal details about Charlie Kirk that no one else is talking about, sobering truths that may change how you view society, safety, and responsibility. Now let's examine what you, as an individual, can do. Courage without action is meaningless. Speaking truth without responsibility is hollow. That's why I recommend practical steps to anchor yourself. Start each morning with the 31-day daily high-impact planner. Record one truth you will seek, one person you will pray for, one courageous action, one act of kindness, and one thing to learn. This daily ritual is not about checking box. It is about building resilience, sharpening perception, and preparing for moments when fear tries to silence you. Beyond personal preparation, community is essential. Gather 2 or 3 trusted people, friends, family, neighbors, and discuss the issues openly. Share meals, open a Bible or other meaningful text, read passages, and reflect on their relevance today. Real courage grows first in these intimate, trusted spaces before it echoes outward into larger communities. And when you protect your voice, when you actively resist silence, you create ripples of influence that extend far beyond yourself. Now, let's return to the societal implications. Silence benefits those who wish to control narrative. Every time someone holds back, the collective chain of silence grows stronger. Every time you speak even a small truth, you weaken that chain. Courage is contagious. Responsibility is not only about protecting yourself, it is about what you safeguard for others, especially younger generations. If children observe adults retreating in fear, they internalize the message that surrender is normal, that speaking truth is dangerous, that silence is acceptable. But if they witness someone standing firm, even when voice trembles, they learn that truth is worth defending. Let me ask you, have you ever been silenced? Maybe at work, maybe in your community, maybe even within your family, because someone said, "Don't talk about that." Did you stay quiet, or did you speak anyway? Share your experience in the comments. Your courage may inspire someone else watching right now. Building a community of truth seekers begins with individual declarations of responsibility, and that is the lesson from this point. Understanding your role is crucial. Without knowing your role, truth cannot survive, and courage will remain dormant. Charlie Kirk's tragedy asks a heavier question than politics alone. What is your responsibility in this historical moment? If you are watching this right now, you are not here by accident. You are meant to hear this message. Every generation faces a test. Some fail. Some endure. Some rise. We are living through such a test right now. This incident was not merely an isolated crime. It is a signal that pressure on truth-tellers is reaching unprecedented levels. You can no longer remain passive. You either cultivate courage or you feed fear. There is no middle ground. Ask yourself, if everyone around you stayed silent, would you still speak? If your neighbors stayed home, would you take the first step? If your own family advised caution, would you act anyway? These questions are not hypothetical. They are real, and your answers matter more than you know. Comment below about a moment when you acted courageously, even when afraid. Perhaps it was a small act standing up for a friend, voicing truth in a conversation, or refusing to compromise your values. Sharing your story strengthens the chain of courage. Responsibility is active, not passive. It is about protecting others, securing the future for children, and leaving a legacy of integrity. Your voice, your prayers, your actions, all of these still matter, no matter your age. Even if you are in the later chapters of life, your wisdom and steadfastness may be exactly what the next generation needs. If you walk away, fear wins by default. Do not let fear dictate your final chapter. Now that we understand the gravity of what happened with Charlie Kirk, the responses it provoked, and the responsibilities that fall on each of us, it's time to focus on action. Action is the bridge between understanding and impact. Knowledge without action is like a sword left in the scabbard, powerful in potential, but useless until drawn. Silence may feel safe, but it is the most dangerous choice you can make. Let me explain why. In the days and weeks after Charlie Kirk's tragedy, I observed a pattern. Those who witnessed the events but did not act allowed fear to take root. They watched. They commented quietly. They scrolled endlessly through news feeds, but they did nothing to protect truth or reinforce courage. Meanwhile, those who took small steps, speaking in trusted circles, documenting events, sharing verified information, began to influence others. Courage, when expressed, is contagious. Action, no matter how small, amplifies courage and anchors truth. Here are 3 steps you can begin immediately to prepare yourself for action in your life, your community, and your circles of influence. Step 1. Build daily clarity. Every morning, before you reach for your phone, email, or television, take a blank sheet of paper and write down 3 commitments. 1. A truth you will seek or protect. 2. Someone you will pray for or encourage. 3. One courageous action you will take, however small. Using the 31-day daily high-impact planner, this becomes not just a ritual, but a weapon against fear and distraction. Seniors who have adopted this routine report a tangible sense of peace, energy, and courage daily. By day 10, your focus grows sharper. By day 20, your courage begins to ripple outward, touching others you may never meet. Step 2. Create safe conversations. Invite 2 or 3 trusted people into your home or meeting space. Share a meal. Open a Bible or a meaningful text. Read a passage and discuss its relevance to today's world. Debate respectfully. Ask questions. Listen. Closely. Real courage grows first in these intimate, trusted circles before echoing outward into the broader community. When you gather with others who value truth, you form a network of resistance against misinformation, distraction, and fear. This is how communities of integrity are born. Step 3. Protect your voice. Every time you remain silent in the face of injustice, misinformation, or moral decay, you strengthen the chains of silence around you. Every time you speak, even gently, you weaken those chains. Remember, silence builds prisons. Courage breaks them. Ask yourself this. If you remain quiet now, what story will your grandchildren tell about you? Will they say you knew the truth, but stayed silent? Or will they say you stood tall when others bowed? The story you write today, with your voice, your actions, and your presence, will outlive you. Now, here's a practical exercise you can begin tonight. Take a blank sheet of paper and write down the 5 truths you would never compromise on, no matter the consequences. Keep it close in your wallet nightstand or another private place. Read it each morning. Pray over it. Let it guide your decisions. This is more than a habit. It becomes your shield. When the world pressures you into silence, these truths remind you who you are, what you stand for, and why your voice matters. Let's also discuss the cost of action. Every step you take toward truth will be tested. Every word of courage you speak may meet resistance. You will face skepticism, hostility, and perhaps even threats. But the alternative in action, silence or passive acceptance, ensures that fear grows, that truth diminishes, and that future generations inherit resignation instead of courage. If Charlie Kirk's story teaches us anything, it is this. Waiting for leaders, governments, or institutions to protect freedom and truth is a losing strategy. It begins with you, in your home, in your circles, and in your community. The key to sustaining courage in the face of resistance is understanding that fear can sharpen you, not paralyze you. Use the energy from shock, anger, and frustration as fuel. Decide today that you will not remain silent, even if your hands shake, even if your voice trembles. Perhaps you have never written to a reporter, hosted a discussion in your home, or asked difficult questions aloud. Begin today. Take one action at a time. Start small, but be consistent. Document your observations. Speak openly to those you trust, and practice courageous engagement daily. Another essential step is to protect your perspective. Be vigilant against manipulation. In today's media environment, narratives are carefully controlled, and facts are selectively presented. By actively questioning sources, comparing accounts, and verifying independently, you prevent being swept away by noise and distraction. This is not paranoia, it is preparation. A mind trained to discern truth will recognize manipulation before it affects your choices. Use the high-impact planner to track observations, note discrepancies, and reflect on patterns. This practice strengthens your capacity to act decisively and courageously. Community remains a central pillar. Protecting your voice is necessary, but influencing others magnifies impact. Trusted circles, prayer groups, and discussion forums form the foundation of societal resilience. When these small communities prioritize truth, they create ripple effects that extend far beyond the immediate participants. Conversations about freedom, responsibility, and courage in small circles inspire broader engagement. One honest dialogue in a home or church can eventually shift perspectives in a city or state. Finally, let us return to Charlie Kirk. The facts you need to anchor your understanding are simple yet critical. Charlie Kirk was fatally shot. He was transported to the hospital, where he later died. The shooter remains unidentified. Early detentions were investigative stalling rather than conclusive justice. Conflicting reports, retractions, and inconsistent narratives are not accidental. They serve to delay truth, sow doubt, and misdirect attention. Recognize these patterns. The purpose is not just to inform, it is to prepare you, to train you to see beneath the surface, to act, and to speak when necessary. Action, preparation, and courage are intertwined. You cannot separate one from the others without weakening all. Daily clarity, safe conversations, and protective vigilance are the foundation. Your voice, your prayers, and your small but consistent actions create a bulwark against silence and fear. These are not theoretical exercises. They are practical, actionable, and essential to surviving and thriving in these times. Now we arrive at the most crucial part of this message, the truths that have been deliberately hidden from the public, the patterns of manipulation at play, and the lessons we must carry forward. Up until now, we have discussed the event itself, the immediate reactions, your responsibility, and the steps to act courageously. But there is a layer beneath all of that, a reality most people are unwilling or unprepared to confront, and understanding it may very well determine how you, your family, and your community navigate the times ahead. First, let's acknowledge something important. The incident with Charlie Kirk was not merely a spontaneous act of violence. Evidence points to a highly planned operation. Security at the event was minimal, the location exposed, and witnesses reported that the shooter fired from a rooftop approximately 200 yards away. The timing was precise, struck in the middle of a live debate, when cameras were focused, when the optics would be widely visible. This was not luck or coincidence. It was calculated, and this calculation is significant because it signals something far larger, a growing recognition by certain forces that those who speak truth publicly are vulnerable and can be targeted. Second, the speed, precision, and selection of the moment indicate more than opportunity. They suggest foreknowledge, preparation, and strategic intent. This was designed to send a message. To intimidate, demonstrate that speaking boldly comes with immediate consequences. And if you think that this is an isolated event, think again. Analysts in domestic security, political studies, and social trends report a sharp increase in targeted attacks on public figures, commentators, and activists. These are not random incidents. They are warning flares. They reveal a pattern. Truth-telling is increasingly treated as a liability, courage as a threat. Third, the public narrative has been deliberately fragmented. Early reports claimed a suspect was in custody. Later updates suggested the shooter was still at large. Conflicting information, retractions, and incomplete reporting are not heresy. our methods of control. The confusion sows doubt, making it difficult for ordinary citizens to discern fact from manipulation. By the time the truth emerges, attention has shifted elsewhere. You have been conditioned to fatigue, to distraction, to disengagement. This is not a flaw in the system. It is by design. Understanding this pattern is crucial if you wish to act, to resist, and to retain clarity. Fourth, there is the moral and societal dimension. Almost no mainstream coverage addresses the mindset that allows someone to plan and execute such an attack. Few question why society increasingly tolerates threats against truth. Almost none analyze the broader consequences of allowing silence to replace courage. When we ignore this, we inadvertently normalize moral decay. We create a society where intimidation, fear, and manipulation replace discourse, debate, and accountability. This is why your individual responsibility is so important. Every voice matters, and every act of courage has the potential to reverse this trend. Now, let's explore what you can do in response. Action without understanding is reactive. Action with insight is strategic. First, continue building clarity every morning with the high-impact planner. Identify truths to protect, individuals to encourage, and actions to take. Anchor yourself in principles, not panic. Second, cultivate safe circles for conversation. Trusted networks are your bulwark against isolation, distraction, and manipulation. Third, document your observations. Record what you see, hear, and verify independently. Future accountability often depends on these archives. If misinformation spreads, your records can serve as a reference point for truth. We must also be aware of the psychological mechanisms at play. The system uses selective framing, presenting certain facts while burying others under layers of distraction and emotional bait. This overwhelms the mind, suppresses curiosity, and discourages inquiry. If you do not actively question the surface narrative, you will be misled. Ask yourself, how often have two people witnessed the same event but walked away with completely different understandings? This is the result of framing, bias, and selective exposure. Recognizing these tactics is not paranoia, it is preparation. Furthermore, the stakes extend beyond any individual. Silence today shapes the future of communities, families, and nations. If young people see adults capitulate, they internalize that surrender and quiet compliance are acceptable. But if they witness courage, integrity, and action in the face of fear, they internalize a radically different lesson. Truth is worth defending, and integrity is worth sacrifice. Your actions echo far beyond your immediate sphere. They are part of a generational legacy. Finally, let's confront the core truth. Charlie Kirk was killed. Multiple independent sources confirm he was fatally shot and later pronounced dead at the hospital. The shooter remains unknown, and the early dissensions appear to be investigative stalling rather than decisive justice. The public narrative is being shaped, filtered, and curated to normalize violence, obscure responsibility, and distract from the underlying issues. Some outlets label it political assassination. Others focus on gun control or security lapses. Few discuss the moral erosion, the absence of accountability, or the chilling effect on public discourse. Recognizing this is essential to understanding your role in safeguarding truth and freedom. So, what can you hold on to? First, your voice is both a shield and a sword. Protect it with truth, wield it with courage, and use it daily to anchor yourself and inspire others. Second, community is not just numbers, it is trusted circles that share, verify, and act together. Third, let fear sharpen rather than paralyze you. Channel discomfort and outrage into strategic, meaningful action. Small steps compound into systemic impact over time. Practice the high-impact planner consistently. One truth to defend, one prayer for courage, one action to take. By day 10, clarity grows. By day 20, courage begins to resonate beyond your immediate sphere. Each declaration, each act, each record you keep reinforces resistance against manipulation and fear. The hidden truth here is simple but sobering. Silence is contagious, and courage is active. If you do nothing, fear and manipulation fill the vacuum. If you act, truth and clarity expand. Your life, your family, your community, and future generations depend on your choices today. This is why I say, Do not wait for someone else to lead. Start with yourself. Speak, record, organize, and act. Your courage matters more than you know. Remember, the story of Charlie Kirk is not only a tragedy, it is a lesson, a warning, and a call to action. Understanding what is hidden, recognizing manipulation, and acting with courage is the path forward. Begin today. Write down your truths. Protect your voice. Cultivate your circles, and take deliberate steps daily. These actions, compounded over time, are the foundation for a society that honors courage, truth, and freedom. Your commitment today could inspire a generation. This is not the end, it is just the beginning. Your voice, your clarity, your courage, and your actions are the tools to ensure that the lessons of today shape a better, freer, and more vigilant tomorrow. Do not underestimate their power.